Hey everybody, this is Keylime again. This time I'm going to do a class breakdown or a class overview. I did want to cover my favorite class, which is the Sunspear. Ta-da! This class is definitely the best class for PvP in my opinion. That is because it comes with some default traits that are extremely useful in a PvP scenario. It's not the best for events. I wouldn't really recommend this class for events most of the time, at least not certainly at the later levels. But this class is really bringing tons to the table from a PvP perspective, and if you have any strong red troops, then this is really going to be the class that you want. Most of the time, red troops are actually pretty damage heavy, so this has got a lot of potential behind it. So let's figure out why I love this tiger with spears through its head so much. So here we go. Starting with its traits. So from a traits perspective, nothing really seems awesome here, right? You're looking at this one attack for each red, not so great. Fireproof, immunity to burning and fairy fire, also, whatever, not so awesome. This heat wave, though, is where things get really great. So having a firestorm at the start of every turn is extremely important and awesome. A lot of teams that you'll fight against will have their own methods of creating storms, and they can take board control back in various ways. With Sunspear class, you really don't have to worry about that. You know that every time it's your turn, you're going to have a firestorm run. You're always going to have that red mana coming. So that's already a pretty cool trait to have. This is the only class that really has this constant, guaranteed, always running firestorm, which is pretty damn amazing. So then we get to its talents, and there's pretty much nothing but awesome stuff within this entire talent tree. It's extremely utility oriented, which is kind of perfect and why I like Sunspear so much. So it starts with the snap freeze at level 1, freezing an enemy at the start of the battle. So this is always going to make sure that when a battle starts, you're going to have the enemy frozen and they can't just loop you to death. Already a really great start. From the other talents, there's really nothing all that exciting. Webbing a random troop when I summon a troop. I don't really like summoning lineups personally. But this could be potentially useful, but Snap Freeze to me is where it's at. This is where you're getting the most bang for your buck at level 1. From a level 2 perspective, there's really nothing all that exciting here, and it's kind of funny. There's this immunity to burning and fairy fire in the same talent tree, so you almost certainly want to be picking this immunity to frozen. This you're going to have just naturally from your talents, or your traits I should say. And perfect aim is whatever. Whenever there's a talent that has this like +2 one-time bonus, it's usually not that great. If there's nothing else you can take it, but in reality being immune to frozen is definitely cool. So right off the bat you're immune to frozen and you freeze somebody. Level 10 is where things start to get really fun from a PvP perspective. So you're starting your fight with somebody frozen, and now you're also entangling the first troop at the start of battle. Where this is really important for Sunspear is knowing that at the start of a fight, since Sunspear doesn't start with 50% mana like some of the other classes, you can intentionally leave skulls on the board and let the AI take them so you can focus on getting your mana. So having somebody entangled right off the bat is going to allow you with Sunspear to focus on your mana generation early and not have to worry about the skulls that are on the board. These other talents that are here, nothing all that exciting. Burning a random enemy when an ally dies, not that great. 3 magic again, one of these things where these talents aren't all that interesting. From a level 20 perspective, it's kind of funny. So create a firestorm at the start of battle as if you didn't already do this by default, so this is a complete waste. Creating a leaf storm at the start of a battle, also pretty much a complete waste, since you're naturally going to be running firestorms all the time. So the only thing you can take is this watery binding, which is, fine. It's whatever. It's kind of a wasted level. This is also a great level for Sunspear. So at level 40, you're getting this submerging a random ally on 4 or 5 gems. Assuming your mana generation is on point, this is pretty much going to guarantee that like 2 to 3 to 4 of your troops are going to be submerged at all times. So it gives your team a lot more survivability in a PvP type scenario. So this talent is actually really, really good. Again, these like one-time pump talents are really not all that useful. All red allies getting 1 magic. This isn't really going to make or break anything, so I would never recommend it. These Wall of Vines, similar thing, gaining 5 armor. It's kind of whatever. compared to Deluge, this is just really the only talent that you should be taking with Sunspear. Then getting down to your other talents at 70, Firebringer is really something that's going to help your team come to life here. So you're naturally getting tons of red mana just by the result of being a Sunspear, but by having this Firebringer talent, getting bonus mana for red, you're really going to be a lot faster with your red mana generation, your troops getting mana'd up a lot faster. You're almost certainly going to be running a banner that's giving you 2 extra reds, so every single time you match red gems, you're getting 3 extra red if you have this talent taken with a banner that's giving you 2 others. So really, really strong red mana generation with constant firestorms. Any troops you have that are red are going to be filled constantly. And then finally, my favorite level here is at 100, so Fireblade. Deal triple skull damage to burning enemies. Holy shit. So triple skull damage to burning enemies is disgusting. You're probably going to have your base attack with this hero probably somewhere in like the 30 to 40 range, maybe even a little higher than 40. That tripled is going to get you into the 100 plus damage range traditionally. So dealing like 100 damage just because there happens to be skulls on the board if some people are burning is totally insane. So the amount of utility you get from running a Sunspear, having somebody frozen at the start, having somebody entangled at the start, having your troops submerging themselves as you're just playing the game, getting tons of bonus red mana, and then dealing triple damage to burning enemies with skulls overall, this class is just set up to do a ton of great stuff. So when we look at some troops that really feed well into a Sunspear lineup, we can start with the classic. So Taipan is always a troop you're going to want to have. He converts all browns to red. He's empowered, so he's going to be able to do this right away. So right off the bat, you can get your red stream flowing here. You're going to have all the red you could possibly want just by having this. This poisoning a random enemy is useless. No one cares about this. So you're using Taipan purely just for the mana generation, which is instant and awesome. The next one that you really love is Yao. So Yao, if you're not aware, is essentially like the best damage dealing card in the game as far as I'm concerned. He's kind of busted. I don't know if I'd say he's literally the best, but for a legendary, this card is just beyond disgusting. It's way too strong. I'm kind of shocked it doesn't get nerfed in some capacity, admittedly. I don't want him to, but he's just extremely strong. He has mana conversion as part of his spell cast, so he's creating more red just by using his ability. Plus he's doing damage to 2 people, plus he's stealing life, and he steals life from this other thing as well. He's just overall, from a red mana lineup perspective, transforming more stuff to red is just beyond awesome from a Sunspear perspective. The only downside to him from a Sunspear lineup point of view is that he doesn't do anything with burning, so you're not going to get that triple damage. But having him in your lineup just guarantees that you're going to have mana generation and tons of damage coming from this troop, so he's kind of disgusting as well. Another awesome one, and if not the best one, from a Sunspear perspective is Infernus, purely because of this. So he has his burn all enemies on 4/5 gems. So just by having this picked, you're going to know that you're going to have everybody on the other team burning all the time. You never have to worry about, are people burning, can I get that triple skull damage? He's doing it all the time. He does good damage, and he explodes the board, so you're getting mana generation, you're getting loot potential, you're possibly getting those skulls to line up magically just as a result of your explosions. He's going to bring to your Sunspear all the things that you possibly want. So if Sunspear is a class that you really like, getting Infernus is definitely something you want to look into. Beyond all of that, another fun one is Divinia. So Divinia just explodes all red gems, heals and cleanses everybody. So from a pure utility perspective, this is like the best defensive troop you can possibly put in your lineup from a Sunspear point of view. Blowing up the entire board like that is going to just bring more red gems down, so you're more than likely going to get a lot of 4/5 matches just from that. And also, every single time you get a 4/5 match, you're getting a random positive effect on your team, which can be anything from like Bless to Enchant. You're going to just be getting a lot of cool stuff coming out of this. So having Divinia in your lineup, mana generation out the butt, and you're going to get potentially a lot of looping going out of this. Everybody's cleansed, everyone's getting healed. From a turtle lineup perspective, like Divinia is easily the best troop from the Sunspear point of view. Could not recommend enough. And then the latest mythic that kind of feeds nicely into this would be Phoenicia. So Phoenicia is somebody that's doing double damage if there's a Firestorm running. So obviously you're always going to have a Firestorm running. This 18 damage to all is not very exciting. However, it's a 1-to-1 boost ratio of red gems here. So having a large number of red gems on the board just means that this is going to be doing a lot. So normally when I cast her in a Sunspear lineup, I'm going to have anywhere from like 12 to 20 red gems on the board. So let's just pretend this is a plus 20 for fun numbers. 38 damage. And then we're doing double damage if there's Firestorm running, which of course there is because we're Sunspear. So now we're looking at 76 damage to everybody with one cast of this troop. So that is pretty amazing. She also does burning here, so she'll burn a random enemy at the start of her turn. I don't really use her to depend on having people burn. However, if you didn't want to have someone like Infernus in your lineup, this at least gives you an opportunity to get some burning in there for that triple skull damage. But from a one-shot perspective, she's doing like probably some of the highest damage in the game that's possible. Just because 70-something damage to everybody is like, you know, a total of what, 280 damage something to like total damage in one cast, theoretically. So Phoenicia can do tons and tons and tons of damage. So if you have Sunspear and you don't have a lot of other mythics, Infernus would be one, Phoenicia would be another one. That would be very, very interesting. The only thing I don't like about her is she has no loot potential, but overall she's really, really great from a Sunspear lineup perspective. Somebody else that's fun, not that one, Queen Titiana, or Titania, I never know how to say this one. She's somebody that also does damage to everybody, so she does more damage than Phoenicia, at least by base, and it's boosted by red enemies and allies, so normally you'll get like a little extra pump out of this, like probably the base cast you would expect something like 30 some odd damage. Every single time you cast this, at least at my magic stat boosting level that I've got. The other nice thing about her is that if there's 13 or more red on the board, you get an extra turn. So with her, she's kind of like the Sunspear version of a Queen Mab in some respects. Like instead of freezing people, she's doing fairy fire to people, so they'll take extra magic damage every time you match a 4 or 5. She's doing damage to everybody like a Queen Mab would. And she also gets an extra turn if there's 13 or more red gems on the board. So if you're running a lineup that's getting tons and tons of red on the board in mana generation perspective, that's going to be an insane help to you. So she's another person that if you bring them into your lineup, it's going to be full of awesome fun things. Those are probably the most obvious troops that from a Sunspear perspective kind of align with naturally. There's a lot of other awesome mythics that just kind of fit in Sunspear lineups, but even if we just look at show me the red mythics that are out there, you can kind of see that there's some top tier mythics that have red in them. Someone like Megavore is red, somebody like Obsidius is red, Worldbreaker is kind of interesting. I don't use him all that much, but also red. Tina is amazing from a pure damage perspective, is red. Voice of Orpheus, really awesome damage and utility, also red. Wolfgarok was recently buffed. I actually haven't even looked at him, but also red. So there's tons and tons of high value mythics that use red mana. So when it comes to guild wars, when it comes to just PvP teams, there's a lot of awesome mythics you can throw in there that just happen to use red. So Sunspear is going to give you a lot of opportunity to get these high mana cost troops all the mana that they're actually looking to have. So that kind of covers what makes a Sunspear class super amazing. I can show you real quick a demo of a team. Pretty much all of my PvP teams use Sunspear in some capacity. My Guild Wars teams also use Sunspear in some capacity. I'll show you this weird little purple team that I use on Guild Wars Day. On paper, there's really nothing that exciting about this team. It doesn't look like it has a ton of damage potential. You'll notice that Infernus is really the only person on this lineup that's doing anything. This weapon is only doing status effects and explosions. This guy's doing the only damage I've got. This guy is doing just some utility and healing and mana conversion. And the damage on Possessed King is not really something to get all that excited about. So from a damage potential point of view, there's nothing obvious here that's saying this team should be amazing. But in reality, the damage that you're really getting is coming from the burning point of view. So that's what you're trying to focus on the most with a team like this. The moment I get some kind of 4-match here, which I die in this match somehow, which is very unlikely, but when you find some kind of 4-match, so here's a red, now that guy's burning and he died right away because I did skull damage. Here's somebody else that's burning and look, he's dead now too. It's just the amount of damage you can do. Again, there's somebody burning, skull, now he's down to 19 health, and now he's dead. So, you know, Sunspear is just going to net you these easy kills just constantly. So that's a great example of a Sunspear lineup. This lineup shouldn't have been all that exciting. Like, it doesn't feel like it was bringing a ton to the table. However, just because I was burning people, and the other team was frozen so they couldn't loop, and the first troop was entangled, I'm able to net like an easy win with a lineup that doesn't seem like it was all that interesting. So looking at another, let me even see what other teams I'm running here. I'll just run my proper Sunspear lineup up here. So here's another Sunspear thing. You'll notice that I've got Infernus in there, of course, for burning, and then another person I have in there is Taipan for the instant mana conversion. For Sunspear, this weapon is actually my favorite, the Sky Hero. It'll create a lot of red gems for every yellow you destroy. So this is something that's really nice from a mana generation perspective. It doesn't take red itself, so it doesn't mana block the red people you actually care about, which is always very helpful. And since this guy's burning, he's dead already, which is awesome. There's no Taipan conversions to really worry about here, but look, there's somebody burning, and now they're dead. So I'm looking again for Taipan conversions. There's really nothing there. I'll just do this for fun. And now, even though there's no Taipan straight up conversions here, as far as 4 or 5 matches go, I'll get some here, I'll get some here, I'll get some here. I'm going to get a lot of red mana just by doing it, which will fill Infernus. I'm not really worried about any of the offense this team is putting out anymore, so I don't really care about any return fire. So I'll just cast this to get people full. And then, lo and behold, I'll blow them up with Infernus. It's my turn again because I have infinite mana. I'll just demo this Sky Hero weapon, so you'll see that there's 4 yellow gems here. When I cast it, the entire board becomes red essentially. So now I've got even more red mana, and then really I could just finish this with either Obsidius or Infernus. I'll just pop them with Infernus for fun. And we win again. So you can see how that triple skull damage is as disgusting as I keep saying in all these videos. Whenever you match a skull, the enemy dying is just insanely strong. So as far as PvP goes, Sunspear is really the best class I can offer up to other people. It's really, really effective early on. You don't have to level it all that high to get some value out of it. You're getting the immediate freeze and the root trap up to level 10. So as of level 10, this team is already having constant firestorms, the freezing somebody at the start and having somebody entangled at the start. You have everything you really need to start being effective with this class right away. All of those teams I showed you would have been effective without the triple skull damage. The reason I always say that the triple skull damage is disgusting is because to me, Sunspear is already amazing without it. Having it just makes it just borderline busted in my opinion, personally. From a PvP point of view, I really think Sunspear is the best class that you can go for. It's the one I recommend to everybody just starting out. And quite frankly, I think it has the coolest little icon here. This, Siberian tiger situation with the 2 glaives is pretty damn badass. So hopefully I was able to convince you that Sunspear is an amazing class. Hopefully you learned something about Sunspear even if you didn't. Maybe you were getting frozen and trapped at the start of your PvP fight and you didn't quite understand why, or you constantly had to deal with firestorms you didn't know where it was coming from. That kind of covers everything about Sunspear. So thanks again for tuning in, and we'll talk to you guys later. See ya.